Y'all all welcome. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. The Laughing Talk Show host. I have more fun on my program. Hell, I have more fun when I'm not on my program than anybody else. I've always said, folks, if we ever could tape what goes on outside the program, this would be Comedy Central, no doubt about it. Anyway, got great guests lined up for you. And you do have my other guests lined up.
Ready to go.
Who is that again?
We got back-to-back guests.
Who is that again?
Daniel Erspamer.
Never heard of him. No, Daniel was one of the guys that wrote the article I mentioned yesterday about Medicaid and the economy and stuff. We're gonna visit with him. Before we jump gears, we're gonna visit with Mr. Reese Terrio. Now, you're executive director of Accelerate South.
That's right.
First of all, good to see you.
Good seeing you.
By the way, his nice mama. Actually,
which is coming this way, by the way.
I didn't she can't come on a Thursday. She's the one been doing the jokes with us about jokes.
That's right.
She has a joke of the day all over this radio station here, but we let her do the joke of the week sometime. And so she hadn't missed yet. As soon as she says one bad, I'm firing her. I'll let you know, Ree. I'm going to fire her butt. But anyway, good to see you. All right, Reese, tell us what's going on. You came and joined us last year. You got an event coming up right now?
Yeah, so we have a 12-week-long business accelerator program that's going to launch in August. The official title for the program is Accelerate South, and the program focuses on recruiting healthcare startup companies, putting them through a 12-week mentor and training program to help them grow in all aspects.
But it's startup companies. Are these going to be companies that are coming in a new way doing the business, or people that are doing the same thing, but they're just new companies wanting to get into business?
Well, a little bit of both. So these companies should have at least 2 team members, should be investment ready, should have some sort of intellectual property, whether it's in the processes or the brand that they're creating. So this is
somebody that's already working on something, that's been working on it, that want to get up and running, and y'all going to help them facilitate that.
Correct.
So now, how do people get involved with you? How do they get in touch with y'all to do what you're talking about?
Yeah, so the program's website is acceleratesouth.com. ACCELERATE South SOUTH.com, and you can go to Accelerate South and you can apply. The application deadline is July 15th. Companies that are looking for growth and looking for access to our institutional investors should apply there by July 15th.
But you can be out of this area and come into it. I mean, you don't have to just be sitting here. You can go online, apply, and then when the events happen, I guess you can come in and get all the same stuff that everybody else is.
Absolutely. I mean, we're focusing most of our recruiting efforts on the I-10 corridor, Houston, Dallas, Shreveport, New Orleans.
Sure.
But we've been vetting applicants from all over the United States. And they're all applying at acceleratesouth.com.
Well, good. Okay. So they can go to the website. They got a phone number. Do they talk to you?
So they apply online, and then all my contact information's on the website, so they can reach out to me with questions.
So when they go online, they can pretty much get everything done.
Yeah, there's a FAQ section where we answer some frequently asked questions. And so to give you the high-level view of the accelerator is funded by the federal government through a $700,000 grant. That's in partnership with an organization called Winrock International out of Arkansas. And then the local grant partners are UL Lafayette, LEDA, CFA, Community Foundation of Acadiana. And then we're attracting institutional investors like Lafayette General Health, Acadian companies, LHC Group, and Viamed have already officially become partners of the program. And we're excited to have them.
So good. So y'all growing and y'all trying to help other people grow their businesses, basically what you do.
Yeah, so these institutional investing companies will be opening their doors and giving these startup companies access and mentorship and guidance.
Here's the big thing. People want to know how to get in touch with you, website, all that stuff. Let's give that again.
Yep, so acceleratesouth.com is the website. You can apply there. You can get in touch with me there. You can ask any questions you have there.
But this is strictly dealing in a medical profession.
Correct.
Okay.
Healthcare.
On this particular deal, it's healthcare.
Yes. So this is the second iteration of the grant. The first iteration was wide open to any company of interest. This one's specifically healthcare focused. That's right.
That'd be interesting. All right. Anything else you want to add?
That's it.
Okay. Be nice to your mama.
I will. Well, you ought to tell her to be nice to me.
Well, that was the next question. If you're not nice to mama, I know what's going to happen to you.
One last thing.
And that's a little lady. But that's dynamite in the package.
Oh,
my
Lord. Absolutely.
No doubt about it. But go ahead.
So last thing is I also teach full-time at UL.
Okay.
teaching in the business school. And just the other day, you know, they always clown me because I make really bad jokes. And I said, well, you know,
your mom makes good jokes.
Well, I said my mom's the queen of jokes. Y'all may have heard of her. You know, she's on 99.9 in the mornings and on Moon Griffon show giving jokes all the time. And they were like, no way, that's your mom. I was like, yeah, that's my mom. I didn't get the gene for the good jokes. I got the bad jokes.
It's amazing what I'm surrounded by.
Yeah.
I got an award-winning producer over here who is an award-winning producer. Yeah. I never won an award. Then I got the lady over here telling jokes, your mama, who actually has a T-shirt with a picture on it.
How do you compete?
Let me tell you something. They put a picture of me on a T-shirt one time, and they burned the T-shirt. There was no way to get a good picture, man. Anyway, I'm surrounded by all these award-winning joke tellers and everything else, and I'm just Moon, whatever the hell. Reese, always a pleasure, man. Good luck with your program.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. Yeah, I'm going to let you sneak out of here. Okay. We're going to jump gears. Daniel Erspamer is my special guest. He is the CEO of the Pelican Institute for Public Policy, and he's written an article, and I really loved it. Louisiana isn't working, and I really loved it. You loved it because Louisiana's not working. No, I loved it because there was so much truth to it. It was phenomenal, and we've posted it at my Facebook on Moon Griffon for you to read it. It's a short read. It's not a big, long story, but it's a great article on what's happening in Louisiana. And so Daniel joins us. Daniel, how you doing?
I'm doing great this morning, Moon. Thanks for having me.
By the way, I accuse you and your buddy Jacobs of plagiarism on my program. The day before the article came out, I was all over this. And then when it came out, you added a lot of credibility to what I was talking about and added some new numbers and stuff about our economy and what Medicaid is really doing because – And one of the things that I picked up from the article, and I'm joking with you about that, of course, but I did talk about it. I did talk about it the day before, and because of the article, I talked about it again. And one of the things that I thought was great that you pointed out, that the Department of Health and Hospitals paid for it. They paid another government entity, LSU, to do the study, to give the report that helps benefit the hospitals. And if that's the case of we can grow government to increase get our economy better, then boy, I tell you what, we just need to put everybody on Medicaid. So that's kind of what I get out of your report.
That's right. And we've actually issued just yesterday afternoon a follow-up report to that that really goes through point by point with that LSU study, even more deeply than the article did. You can get that at our website, pelicaninstitute.org.
Well, I got to go get that. That sounds great, man, because this article was really right on the money. We posted it on my Facebook. I hope you didn't mind.
I don't mind a bit. Thanks for doing it.
Yeah, well, I want people to read it. I just think that what you came out with the economy and you started comparing job growth in other states, I mean, this is a powerful article making the case about, our economy. And I keep saying it. If we don't grow our economy, we don't have enough money to do anything.
That's right, and the talking points we're hearing from the other side on this, the governor's office and the folks who looking to increase taxes in the legislature and grow Medicaid expansion, they're just wrong. The one you hear most lately is personal income growth is skyrocketing 2.9%. What they fail to tell you is the majority of that growth is what we call government transfer payments, which are welfare payments. It's payments from the government for no service provided. If you take that out, wage growth in the state rose only 1%, which is well behind the national average.
Yeah, and that's what I thought y'all did great with the numbers. Y'all basically broke them down, but because what they're doing, what I didn't like about this Medicaid study was here's how it works. Our tax dollars give it from one government entity to another. They print this, and then the news media runs with it. They run with it as facts in the story. So you look around the state, and they're reading about how Medicaid is economic development now, and that's ludicrous.
It's ridiculous on its face, and anyone who spends a moment thinking about it realizes it's ridiculous on its face. And to suggest that is a driver of job growth, if the folks who wrote that report and the folks who are promoting it really believe that, I mean, that's terrifying. That is a pathway to continued economic ruin for the state. It hurts working families. It kills jobs, and it's seeing the same thing we've seen, driving people out of the state. One of the other points in our articles, people, and no surprise to you and your listeners, people are leaving Louisiana.
Yep.
And we had absolutely, and it's clear why. There are no jobs, and this state is hostile to job creation. We have to turn that around.
There's no doubt about it. I visited with the governor's people and told them that if they don't do this, there's failed governors, the rest of them, and they're not going to do it. All signs show that they're going to keep trying to increase taxes to stay ahead of government's growth, which, by the way, you defined it in the article, and y'all did a great job with it. That's going to hurt the private sector. As a matter of fact, if you look at our economy over the last 10 to 15 years, government's grown it right at twice the rate of our economy. That doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's never, ever going to work. And if we keep doing that, we're going to keep getting the same results, which is our migration.
That's right. And look, math is hard, numbers are hard, and so, we gotta get those right. But, this just bleeds over into the budget debate too. You keep hearing the wrong number yet again, over and over again. Moon, we talked 6 months ago, and I think the budget gap at that point was supposedly $1.2 billion or something like that. Yep. And of course, we knew that was wrong then, and that proved to be wrong. That number keeps coming down, and the truth is, if you crunch our numbers, it's depending on what you count, it's somewhere between $397 and $450 million by my count.
Well, let's do this. When we get back, let's come back and talk about those numbers. And I want to talk about jobs, because you had a great report on the jobs that we're creating or not creating compared to other states. All right, Daniel Erspamer, my special guest, CEO of Pelican Institute for Public Policy. We'll be right back. Hi, hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. Daniel Erspamer, my special guest, and, of course, CEO of Pelican Institute for Public Policy. Hey, Daniel, and by the way, I pulled up your new article. That's really, really devastating and tough to read because it's got so much truth in it. But let me back up, and I want to talk about jobs. According to your deal, according to what you wrote, last month the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that from February 17th to February 18th, Louisiana's non-farm payroll actually shrank by 200 jobs on net, one of only 4 states to suffer a year job losses. By comparison, Mississippi, with a workforce significantly smaller than Louisiana, gained 14,300 jobs over the past 12 months. Alabama gained 16,900 jobs. And while we shrank, Texas gained 285,000 jobs over the past 12 months. Explain that to people.
Well, if you look at the direction of those states, so this is the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the federal government, looking at what jobs were created and what were lost. And so if you look at the economic movement of those states you mentioned, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas, what are they doing? They're making it easier for entrepreneurs to start new enterprises and hire new people. They're looking for ways to reduce government spending and lower taxes. They're reducing, just the other day, occupational licensure requirements that are roadblocks to folks, particularly from low-income fields, pursuing the American dream. And what do? We continue to block all of those things and are trying to figure out, how we raise taxes. Just one example of this, as you know, with the good news coming out of Washington, D.C. of federal tax reform, and all of us got a cut on our federal tax payments, well, that meant a tax hike here in Louisiana. We had a personal income tax hike of just over $300 million. Other states who've experienced the same thing, you know what they're doing? They're figuring out how to lower those taxes and make that neutral for the citizens of their state. What are we doing? Saying, please, dear God, don't take that away. We need to spend that money to close our spending gap. It's insane.
It's worse than that. Not only did they take that $300 million out of our pocket that we got from Donald Trump. I don't give Republicans credit, Donald Trump. They're saying we need $648 million more. They don't ever say, what, and this is what bothers me. They don't ever say, we don't have $648 million. It's never that. Matter of fact, since Bill Edwards came in, we have only talked about increasing taxes every single day since he's been here. Every single day. There's nothing else. Yeah. Maybe a little LGBT, but other than that, it's been raise taxes, raise taxes, raise taxes, raise taxes. Nothing else.
That's right. That's right, and we have to talk about fiscal restraint. We have to talk about fundamental reforms, and we're going to be doing a lot of that in the coming weeks and months. But right now, we have to make it clear to our elected officials, to the governor, to everybody else, that this economy cannot sustain higher taxes any longer. We've seen the damage to it, and we have to take a different path. We have to make this budget work with no new taxes on working families across the state.
You know, one of the things, and I'll go back, it's something that's going to tie into what we talked about earlier. You mentioned in the article, you and Mr. Jacobs, talking about stagnant economic growth, in which we do have here. It's just a fact. This guy, they can spin all they want to on the economy, but our economy's actually declined if you look at inflation-adjusted stuff. But the one thing that we're growing and leading the nation in is welfare payments. And I think that ties into what you were talking about earlier with transfers, receipts, defined benefit given by the government. And we calling that economic development.
That's right. You're absolutely right. We're first in the nation. You know, it's a little alarming, right? We're sort of last in every list that comes out, and so you see a list, we're first on it, and you sort of celebrate for a minute until you realize what it says, which is exactly what you noted. We're giving away more taxpayer dollars in welfare payments than any other state in the country, and that's growing every single day, and that's right. They're calling that economic growth, and that's just ridiculous.
But the thing about it is, not only and I'm gonna keep you a few more minutes if you got time. The only problem with it is, not only when they do these reports and put it out, the governor, Jay Darden, all the newspaper, all the media run with this as facts and stuff people ought to believe. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, that's our problem. We keep believing them. Let me take a break. We will be right back more with Daniel Erspamer, CEO of Pelican Institute for Public Policy, right after this. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Daniel Erspamer, my special guest, CEO of Pelican Institute for Public Policy. And we're talking about, we're talking opposite about what you read in the newspapers and opposite what the Edwards administration is pushing. But that's probably pretty common for y'all, Daniel. It's real common for me. You seek the truth, and they could care less with the truth as long as they can raise taxes. So the 8.3%, the Louisiana residents grew by 8.3%, highest in the nation, is really a joke. It's just the transfer receipts, welfare payments, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's right.
One of the things that I was interested in this too. You said a shrinking number of jobs, outward migration, economic stagnation, falling incomes, and growth dependence on government. Consider, for instance, the 4 states that exceeded Louisiana in the number of Americans departing their borders: California, Illinois, New York, and New Jersey. All states with high taxes, massive amount of government spending, and fiscal problems that go with that big government approach. And you ask the question, does Louisiana really want to put itself in the company of those states? Apparently we do.
It sure seems like it. I tell you this, though. Walking the halls of the legislature, talking to our elected officials, there's a good number of them who want to do the right thing, Moon, and they need support. They hear every day, they get their arm twisted, from the governor's office. They hear from the special interests who march in and out of those hallways in Baton Rouge, and they need to hear from taxpayers who say, "Don't raise my taxes. Figure this out. Figure out a way to make it work for me." So I certainly encourage your listeners to engage in this process. And help show these legislators that we're paying attention and we're tired of new taxes and we want better results.
Yeah. By the way, if they don't, the other side is sitting there begging them to raise taxes, and if that's all they hear, they'll do it. One of the things in your latest article that's on your website right now, you make the point that nearly 50% growth in state spending from 2004 to 2018. And by the way, flat population, now out-migrating again, and inflation growth, despite essentially a flat population and inflation growth. So why do we have a 50% growth in government and we don't have extra people to show that we needed that?
That's right. Yeah, essentially it's a friend of mine put it this way. It's, the same services, and they want us to pay more for it. And that burden is being spread out even thinner as people continue to leave the state. So taxes are going to continue to go up unless we get this under control.
Yeah, one of the other points you make is that, and I tell people this all the time, and Jim Beam's lied about it, and Hillman's lied about it, and the press has lied about it. Our budget is filled with more state money than federal money. They have said 1,000 times, well, most of our state budget is federal money, and that's not true. You pointed out it's 42% of the budget, highest among the 50 states, were taken from the federal government. And you also point out that's scary for the fact now we got $21 trillion in debt and rising, and our dependency on the federal government, who has serious money problems, could really pop us in the mouth. And then Medicaid, I'm pointing at the Medicaid more than anything else before it's said and done.
That's right. Well, and the thing to remember, right, those federal dollars are kind of a myth, right, because they come with all sorts of strings attached. We saw this in the governor's budget proposal. You know, it said, look, if you cut all these things out of healthcare, we're going to lose all these federal dollars with it. So we got to remember, these aren't some gift of manna from Washington, D.C. These come with state-level strings attached, and it's a double whammy. We're paying our federal taxes, and their spending is out of control, and that's unstable, and then we got to spend more to get those dollars back in the state. It's a whole big scheme, and we have to unravel it.
Do you believe, and I've been told this by people that know, the Medicaid expansion is basically wiping out money for higher ed, health care, not health care necessarily because it's part of health care, but wiping money out for things that we need? Would you believe that's
Absolutely.
wiping out most of the budget? And by the way, being bragged about and told us that that's economic development. I don't understand that, but do you believe that's the biggest problem we have right now?
It's a huge problem, and it's only going to get worse. The big joke around Medicaid expansion, or the big mystery, is that quote-unquote federal match gets smaller each and every year. So if you think we've got a budget problem now, just wait a couple years. And we're talking about adding hundreds of millions of more dollars on state tax burden just to keep the same program we have now. And we have to remember, Medicaid expansion is crowding out services really to the most needy, the folks that program was originally intended to help, the truly poor and disadvantaged. Remember, Medicaid expansion was about adding able-bodied adults to the rolls of Medicaid. And as you spend more dollars on that population, you're spending fewer dollars on the folks that really could use help and that really do need a hand up. And
yeah,
so
by the way,
nobody driving.
I think nobody's arguing that we want to help people. We got a lot of people that get this Medicaid that are able-bodied workers. Nobody talks about that. They just want to throw children on the bus.
Right, and let's add one other thing. We're actually working on solidifying this number now, but it's a significant number of people who, when Medicaid expanded, rolled off of their privately funded health insurance onto the government rolls. And so that is taking people who were, again, working adults, able-bodied in the private sector, covered by their employer, and now because we've expanded Medicaid to this population, those folks are now on the government roll. Yeah. That's just bad policy, flat out. It doesn't make any sense.
Obamacare is the gift that keeps on killing us, and it will continue to destroy health care. It's done a hell of a job destroying health care. There's no doubt about it. And it's such a frustration to watch people that think Obamacare was good. I just want to walk away and laugh at them because you can't tell them. They don't understand. You can't get freebies all your life. You really can't. Right. And it's devastating. Just think about our state. You got 40% of the people on Medicaid. And I'm not talking about people that need it. I'm talking about people that are able-bodied workers. Well, then you got Medicare. So you got an older group of people that are on Medicare, and they do supplements to supplement that. So I know they pay that. So really, your pie is getting smaller on the people that can pay for it.
Right. Right, and it's crowding out the folks who really need the help. Yep. That's at the end of the day. If we want to, if our goal is to provide good quality help to the folks who most need it, we are failing miserably at that and spending billions of dollars to do so.
Yeah, one of the things also in this deal, y'all put in with Bell Edwards' solution, balanced approach has been 100% tax increases, 0% spending cuts. I've been laughing, Daniel. Bell Edwards came out. You notice they don't say it anymore. And they used to say it all the time, and I think we stopped it. When he started telling people he already cut $600 million out the budget. And I said, if he cuts $600 million out the budget, this $648 ought to be nothing. He's already done it once, and when he did it, nobody bickered. Nobody cried. No health care people were out there saying they want to shut hospitals down. And so the $650 million cut was a joke. He never cut $650 million. The budget is up. I had Cameron Henry on yesterday. He says the budget that they passed out appropriations is $30 billion, $1.2 billion bigger than it was in the one we're in now. And they still bickering about the amount of money that we got. I mean, that's something's eating that money up, and we know what it is now.
That's right.
He also said that the Department of Health and Hospital grows $200 to $400 million a year. He said it's no way our economy can keep up with that. And that's what I've been preaching for years now. You got too much government for the size economy we have.
That's right. And the truth is it's a black hole of spending. You know, this is one of the reasons we've been going around the state, and others have too, talking about the need for transparency in Louisiana checkbook. We've got to know where those tax dollars are being spent, or else we can't help solve the problem. But right now it just goes into a black hole, and we don't have any real way to figure out how it's being spent and what connects to what federal dollars, and taxpayers deserve to know that information.
Absolutely. All right, Daniel, before I let you go, tell people, I know you got a new article on your website right now. Tell people where they can go and listen. I want people to read this. It's got charts. It's got little things on it that people can use when they want to talk to their legislators.
Absolutely. You can go to www.pelicaninstitute.org, pelicaninstitute.org. Get all sorts of good facts and information, including a response to this ridiculous Medicaid report. So thanks so much for having me on.
Oh, no problem. We'll do it again. Thank you so much. All right, we got to take a break, and that's what I told you the day before I saw the report. And then yesterday, in a day, they issued another one, Citizens Guide to the Louisiana Fiscal Cliff. And they put some answers on how to fix it, too. So check it out. All right, we got to go. Take a break. You listen to the Moon Griffon Show, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. We'll be right back. Moon Griffon Show, great to have you with us, 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. If you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be a voice. All right, you heard Mr. Daniel Erspamer talk about stuff. You hear me talk about this a lot. If you're just reading a Jim Beam article, you're going to be very misinformed. If you're picking up Greg Hilbert, I'm telling you, that cat don't know where he lives. You're going to be very misinformed. If you're picking up the Advocate and Times-Picayune and you listen to all these flunkies all cry and tell you how much we need tax, how bad the Republicans in the House are, you're going to be misinformed. You're going to be misinformed, folks. They're not giving you the truth. They're not giving you all the information. And you know what? I'm just telling you. You're going to be misinformed because everybody that has skin in the game getting money from government, okay? They don't want anything to change in the state. They just look at. I tell you what's on my side. Look at the results of doing what we've been doing. Edwards is doing, and Jay Darn are doing nothing any different than they did before they became co-governors. Nothing. So how's it going to change? And if they want new taxes, they take them anyway by fees and taxes. They've been doing that every year. They did it under Bobby Jindal. They did it under Mike Foster. It's not going to change by throwing money at it. That's all we've ever done. I mean, this is some real numbers here, folks. I mean, you start talking about what we're looking at right now with real numbers and out-migration and, man, the other states are booming with jobs, and you got to come up with a Medicaid study paid for by the Department of Health and Hospitals to another government entity, LSU, which runs the hospital systems, to tell you that Medicaid is an economic development, I mean, it's just a great thing, You're living in la-la land. It's eating up every budget around the whole country. It's part of Obamacare's dumbest, most ignorant thing they ever passed to hurt us, not to help us, to hurt us. To get it where we all under a Medicaid system. Where we all under a ration care where they tell us when we can go to the hospital and tell us what they're going to do. You don't tell them. And it's eating up our budget left and right, and all we talk about is spending and taxes. Tell me something else Bill Edwards has talked about, because I want to know. They don't. This is all we heard since Bill Edwards walked in office. Him and Jay Darden, who knifed David Vitter in the back. His ship came in. His retirement's going to be based off of $237,500 a year with 30 years of service. He'll get $200,000 plus a year for the rest of his life. He's out there, and the people in the media and the press are not helping us by not giving us all the information. They run with the stories. What do you think? And I told you this before. When they did this, what was it, Brandon? They did this group of people who came in and said how we can fix the budget. And they put all these so-called experts. Task force. The task force. That's what it was. The tax task force. And before they met, I told you I can tell you what they're doing. They're going to raise taxes. That's what they came back and said. And they had good government groups. They had people Edwards put on there. They had people John Alario put on there. These so-called good government groups that's never accomplished anything. And they came back and told we need to raise taxes. Because that's it. This is not about fixing our economy. And our economy is hurting, which could be booming in our great state because of this kind of mess. So they write a study saying, well, Medicaid is an economic booster. And that's not true. That's fool's gold. If we can grow government and that happens, we ought to be the most prosperous state in the country. We depend more on the federal government than any state. 42% of our revenue comes from the federal government. And the federal government is, I don't know if y'all looked lately, $21 trillion. They're broke. They ran up deficits left and right. They ran up $10 trillion under that great president we had called Barack Obama. So, man, I'm glad somebody else like this comes along that says, hold up just a second. Folks, if you keep doing the same thing that got you into the problem and you expecting different results, you're insane. And Governor Bill Edwards and Jay Darden and our Louisiana media, not all of them, but a lot of them that are involved in this, they really think if we can just tax our way to prosperity. It doesn't work that way. He's devastating the oil and gas industry with lawsuits all in these parishes. Devastating it. I mean devastating it here in Louisiana. So we got to get real with who we are. If we got a $648 million budget deficit problem, the answer is not to take more money and say it's solved. That's all they want to do. Oh, we fixed it again. When did you fix it the first time? You know, all this stuff was going to be fixed 40 years ago and 30 years ago and 20 years ago and 10 years ago. And now here comes Bill Edwards. Oh, he's going to be the guy. He's got a 55% approval rating. Yeah, from who? But people don't know any better. For somebody to put it down, and he's been a failure. And him and Jay Darden have been a failure. And they're going to fail. Now, you can reelect him if you want to, which I think they get beat. But if you want to reelect him, and you're going to get the same thing for the next 4 years, all we're going to hear is taxes, 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 taxes to prosperity. Last time we gave taxes for roads, that was a debacle. We didn't fix nothing. I'll tell you what, we're better off taking the money, that 4 cents, and giving that back to the local governments and letting them fix their roads and let them do matching funds with the federal government. We're better off. We'll fix more roads doing that than we will giving the money to Baton Rouge. I'm looking at this going, wow, jobs, out-migration, people around our state, Mississippi. I mean, when you see these numbers, folks, they're staggering. Louisiana non-farm jobs from February 17 to February 18, 2018 shrank by 200 jobs. Only 4 other states to suffer year-and-year job losses. Mississippi gained 14,300 jobs. Alabama gained 16,900. Texas gained 285,000. And here we are talking about taking money from businesses and people, the few people here still helping pull the wagon. Then, this was yesterday, Louisiana LSU medical leaders are railing against the budget. One gentleman, the Shreveport chancellor, said, "What I cut? Everything's important. The burn unit is important. I agree. The cancer center is important. I agree. The level 1 trauma center is important. I agree." And then they throw out this. Jesus, tell me what I'm supposed to cut. You know, I've been feeling like that for a while. Jesus, tell me what to cut to make sure that state government has plenty, whether I got plenty or not, whether I got any or not. And I started thinking, Jesus, help me cut. Maybe I can cut Maddie's medication out for seizures. Maybe that's what I can look at cut. What y'all think? Can I cut that? Can I cut her education? What do I cut, folks? Maybe we don't eat much anymore. What do I cut? Do I cut health care? Well, I can't do that. It's mandated. Do I cut my sales tax? Can't do that. It's mandated. Do I live in a tent? Maybe I should sell my property and keep one little bit of acre and send in a tent. Maybe that'll be. I can cut my electrical bill. So, what? Jesus, what do I cut? You see the game, scriptures, Jesus, death, kids on the streets, the games we play, and we never stop playing them. Too much money in government. That's the problem. All right, we got to take a break. Be right back. Hello, welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program, your opportunity to be voice. By the way, I do have on my Facebook the original article that they wrote dealing with Medicaid and things of that nature and jobs and things of that nature that I think that you need to check out. By the way, crude topped $68 first time more than 3 years. Louisiana's not kicking though yet. Them dang lawsuits keep getting in the way. It just does. It's just the way it is. World debt hits record, Brandon, $164 trillion. $164 trillion. They're probably exaggerating on that. Gee whiz. That's phew. That's sounds like a little bit more debt than I could pay back, Brandon. That's so far over everybody's head. You start talking about millions, it's probably a little bit over most people's heads. You start talking about billions, I know it is. Hundreds of billions. Then you start saying trillions. Well, shoot. What comes after? And by the way, this is a trivial question. I don't know. What comes after trillions? Brandon, you know?
Trillions? I mean, I don't know how you would say it, but something with, honestly, I'm not going to try and attempt to say it. I was thinking about this the other day. It's crazy.
I know, but I'm just asking, what comes after trillions?
I'm not gonna try to say the word, Moon. I don't know. I have it in my head, but I can't remember how you say it.
Is it super billions?
No, I know it's not that.
I'm just kind of curious. It kind of just hit me. I thought, what comes
quadrillion,
after? Quadrillion. Say it again?
It's quadrillion.
Quadrillion.
I thought it would have something to do with quad, but I know how you were going to say that. It's quadrillion. Yes.
God, that sounds like a little bit more. Much more than we can deal with. By the way, California has 8 of the 10 most polluted American cities. Well, man, that's the home of the global warming nutcases. How in the world can Jerry Brown allow that? 8 of the 10 in California. Home of crazy environmental laws. That's amazing. 8 of the 10 right there in good old California. Man, that's amazing. I mean, I thought they for sure would have stopped global warming there. It says Bakersfield took the top spot in list of cities and another variety of air pollution, smaller particular matters, a.k.a. soot. Increased heat, changes in climate patterns, drought and wildfires, many related to climate change, contribute to the high number of day days with unhealthy matter in it. So it's amazing. And climate change is that, folks, by the way. It's interesting. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline. Yeah, and before I got off there, I just wanted to throw that at y'all where they now, in the healthcare, is hollering, Jesus, show me where to cut. What am I supposed to cut? I'm asking the same question. It's funny, we're on the same page with the healthcare people. I'm figuring out what else I got to cut to make sure the state doesn't go broke. And now we got healthcare people hollering this. They want $648 million more in taxes. Remember, it was $1.2 billion, and it dropped to $954 million. I just thought about that too. That is kind of stingy of Jay Darden and Governor Edwards and the legislature, if they're part of it. Trump gives us a tax cut, and the state takes it. And they hadn't apologized. They hadn't batted an eye. So when people are sitting around saying, Trump gave me a tax cut, but people have seen this on their bills, where the federal government is not taking out as much, but the state's taking out more. People have seen it. People are wise. Look, people, if you work on a payroll or salary or whatever, you see an adjustment in your check. The first adjustment they saw was I had a little take-home pay, a little bit more take-home pay. The second adjustment was, hold up, what happened to my take-home pay? And they see the state portion went up. They know. People know what's going on. Jay Darden on Kill. Referring to a bill coming from the House committee, Darden tells Kill listeners there's no real good way to fix this right now. The bill basically turned the back on the public hospitals and health care, and he's talking about Cameron Henry's, the bill they got out of the Appropriations Committee. I want to say it again. That bill spends $30 billion. $30 billion. It's not enough. Darden paints a bleak picture for the future of the state's charity hospital if the budget as it came out of the committee passed. Well, it wasn't bad as the one that came out that Edwards gave us. Listen, this is Jay Darden. He's been playing the game so long, he can play it in his sleep. We'd be closing every public-private partnership hospital, including the one in Shreveport, and the bill that came out of Appropriations Committee. There's not any money at all for the Shreveport Hospital. No general fund dollars whatsoever. So Jay goes on with my good friends at Kiel and tries to scare the hell out of the people in Shreveport, too. And this is what we have now. Scare tactics is all we have left now. And it's set up that way. Medicaid is ripping us of mega money. It's set up every year. It don't matter how much taxes they increase. Remember, Bel Air was increased about 2.4 to 2.8 billion. Never enough. Never enough. Unbelievable. All right, let's go to John in White Castle. How you doing, John?
Hey, Moon. I got cut off yesterday because I had to get out and go take care of some work, but it's unfortunate. I'm 75 and still working.
Well, the good news on that side is you're healthy. So I'll try to take a positive.
The good news, exactly, I can still work. So
absolutely.
That's the good part of that.
I'm hoping I can. I promise you.
Yeah, well, without it gets a little boring. But look, what I wanted to tell you yesterday is all this hoopla about cutting government spending. We have a bunch of politicians that are professionals that play in hide and seek. They hide behind the Constitution, and they say, well, there's only two places where we can cut spending, and that's a bunch of you-know-what BS, and it doesn't stand for it stands for what it stands for.
Let me tell you something.
The governor could cut spending with a memo to all of his department heads and tell them to cut 2 or 3% out of their budget to actually justify every expenditure and not just automatically ask for an increase. And if they went to a zero-based budgeting system where you had to justify your spending and justify every position, it would cut the budget immeasurably, and we would be within a balanced budget in nearly no time. But you have a trial lawyer as a governor who is just like the rest of the trial lawyers that say, get what you deserve from the insurance company, and everybody else is going to have to pay for it in increased insurance costs, and it's the same thing with the state budget. They love to play hide and seek behind the Constitution, but only when it's convenient for them. This would be a terrible time with the political climate like it is to have a constitutional convention.
Oh, it'd be horrible.
I don't deny that we need one, but this would be a horrible time to have a constitutional convention. And I would talk to my friend Lane Grigsby about it if I could ever get in touch with him. But the political climate would give us something totally unmanageable.
I know. You're 100% right. I don't think we need one anyway. I think we could fix some of this stuff with some constitutional amendments that mean something. I don't think they want to fix it. There's too many people prospering off the tit of the government, just like it is. And that's why I don't think you see any changes at all, Mr. John. None. Zero, zilch. We had Mike Foster come in, and he was going to be different. We had, of course, we had Edwin. We had Blanco. She was going to be there. Bobby Jenner, the Wonder Boy, was going to be different. And now Belle Edwards, and nothing's changed. They're not messing with the retirement system. They're not messing with road. They're not fixing one thing. And then we got suckered into this Medicaid like other states, and all these other states are fighting budget problems as well. And I'm all for helping poor people. There's nothing to do with that.
I am too. Medicaid is not economic development. I don't care what color they paint it. Yeah, Medicaid and government spending is not economic development.
But, John, you see what they do, though?
The only thing you get out of... Huh?
You see what they do?
What they do.
DHH pays for it with LSU, who runs the medical. They put it out there as economic development, and the newspaper and the media run with that and put that out there as being truthful. And they just keep lying to the citizens of Louisiana, and I've had enough of them.
Government spending is not economic development. The only thing you get out of government spending is more government.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line. It is the government produces nothing of value. Nothing of value.
Nope. All right, Mr. John, we got to run. God bless. Thank you, man. Good luck to you. Don't work too hard either. All right, we got to take a break. 447-666607. Hickson has a hotline. Glad to hear Mr. John from White Castle, who basically said the same thing. That's economic development. I mean, folks, they come out with these surveys. Why does the government people think they got to fool us all the time? I'm just kind of wondering, why do they think they have to fool us? Look, I know health and hospitals, and the hospitals and the partnership, they need their money. I understand that. But it's always doom and gloom. You know, Cameron Henry said, why do we have the private government partnership when nobody else in the country has it? I don't know. I ain't looked into it enough to know. But it's a question that needs to be asked. Just the doom and gloom of all this stuff, it just blows me away. It's just I've been covering this for 25 years, and I've been hearing it for 25 years. And the thing about it is, when they get more money, nothing changes. We get more money, we spend more money. That is not changing the way we do business. Let's go to Jeff in Lafayette. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, Moon. How about yourself?
Doing fine, sir.
Hey, I just had something that I wanted to run by you. I was over on the eastern side of the state, around Bogalusa area, and they had a commercial running on the radio over there about, if you want gun control, to call this certain senator and urge them to vote yes. And I hadn't heard a lot of people talking about this. I want to find all of these folks that voted yes, and if there's any of them in my area that voted yes, I want to call them up and let them know that the next time they come up for election, I'm going to help throw their rear end out on the street.
Yeah, they, to be honest with you, there was an article today, legislators reject proposals to change Louisiana gun laws. Almost, I don't want to say every one of them, but most of them have failed miserably. The failures come as most of the roughly 24 gun bills filed this year haven't advanced in the legislature. Democrats are the one proposing gun restrictions.
Because the only way they're going to get mine is they're going to pry my cold fingers off the trigger.
Well, I'm just telling you right now, the state legislature has not given in to the left on this. We may give in on taxes, but we haven't given in on gun control. There was a lot of bills filed, too. I mean, dozens of them filed, and they just hadn't moved at all. So they're kind of dying one piece at a time now.
Well, that's good, and I hope they all die.
Well, the bills are dying right now. It's just no doubt about it. They're dying. I mean, they're not able to pass anything.
Yeah, I heard about this city in Illinois that's confiscating AR-15s.
Yeah, and that's stupidity at best too. But I don't know if they are or not. You hear about that kind of stuff and you really check it, and is it really happening? I'm not saying there's not an article on it, but is it really happening? Because I would think if that was really happening, and I'm not saying it's not, but there would be more people that feel like you feel, and somebody would be fighting it right now.
Yeah.
But since we're not really hearing, I'm not saying it's not out there, but I'm not hearing about it. I'm just wondering if it's really happening.
Now, they had passed the rule, but I hadn't heard if they've actually started collecting them yet, because they had said they was going to give them a certain amount of time to turn them in willingly, or they're going to charge them $1,000 a day fine. Well, collected.
Yeah, when are they going to collect that?
Yeah, you can charge me, but collect it, because I've got something for you if you come after it.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
It's going to be moving very fast.
Yeah. All right, man. Appreciate the call. That's just, Brandon, you may have picked something up on it. I haven't seen that. I read a little bit of something, but I don't think there's any enforcement going on of that yet. I just say yet.
In Illinois, no. It there's a time period.
That's what I'm saying. They had to make it to where they're eventually going to maybe do something like that or try to do something in certain areas. But that's not going to happen down here. Matter of fact, and I don't know a lot of sheriffs, but I know some. And I don't think you would have that here with any sheriff in any place in this state where a sheriff is going to start, a sheriff or a district attorney, whatever, going to start having some kind of gun, go collect guns or go pick up guns from people. They may have a buyback program or something like that. People, okay, bring your guns, we'll buy it back. But I think we've even seen that before. But I don't think, at least not right now. All right. LSU named one of America's best value for colleges by Forbes. LSU. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it. Hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. By the way, the House rejected voting rights for felons on probation and parole. House spurned an effort to restore voting rights to some convicted felons on probation and parole. Louisiana's 74 Constitution allows suspension of voting rights for people who are under an order of imprisonment for a felony. The law passed 2 years later spelled out that people on probation or parole for a felony are included in that definition. Representative Pat Smith's proposal would have changed that to allow someone on probation or parole for a felony to register to vote after being out of prison for 5 years. Only 35 House members voted for the measure. 53 lawmakers voted against it. Similar proposals have died in the years past. I don't know even what to think about that right now. They get in trouble, they lose their right to vote. Is there time they should get it back? That's been being debated now, not only here, but really in some other states as well, trying to decide when you let people come back in and vote. Okay, so that's to be interesting to see. But right now, it looks like it's dead for the session again. And they keep beating that back. I did not watch the argument on that. I know there's an argument for it, but I've not watched the argument on that. Sexual harassment lawsuits have cost Louisiana taxpayers $5.1 million in the last decade. The latest being $85,000 to settle claims against former Deputy Chief of Staff Johnny Anderson of the Bell Edwards governorship. By the way, when they put this in the article, they never mentioned Bell Edwards. I'm a nice guy. I'll mention it for you. State agreed last month to pay $85,000 to settle the claims against the former Deputy Chief of Staff Johnny Anderson. Who was he the Deputy Chief of Staff of, Brandon?
Who was he? Say that again?
Johnny Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
Who was he the Deputy Chief of Staff of?
Barely Governor John Bell
Why
Edwards.
come they forgot to put that in the paragraph? I'm just kind of curious why they didn't put that in the paragraph. Had that been David Vitter or John Kennedy or Jeff Landry, that sucker would have that name polished and promoted, and it would be shining for you to see it coming off the paper. Not old Johnny, not old Bell Edwards. Can't do that. Because they're saying, all they say, let me just read this. State agreed last month to pay $85,000 to settle claims against former Deputy Chief of Staff Johnny Anderson. Deputy Chief of Staff for who? Well, Bell Edwards. But they kind of, the Advocate, being such a fair-minded newspaper, always honest, just like they did with that Medicaid report they got from two government entities. They just must have forgot. I bet if we called them, they would probably said, put that in there. I got a feeling, I just got a feeling they would probably put that in there if they probably just accidentally skipped that. Elizabeth Chris wrote the article. I just know that she found it. Like when they mentioned Stormy Daniels, Brandon, you think they're going to ever mention Donald Trump?
Oh, every chance they can get.
You see how this works? And it worked like that for Obama. Don't say nothing bad about Obama. Everything bad about Trump. What do you think they're doing in Baton Rouge with Bell Edwards? Promoting this man. They think he really won the election. He did win when you look at numbers. But did he win? Or did Vitter get pounded so hard he walked in? They still hadn't figured that one out yet. But anyway, it was under Edwards, and they put former Deputy Chief of Staff. What do I supposed to guess? Was that Edwards? Was it Edwin Edwards? Was it Bell Edwards? Was it Bobby Jindal? Was it Dave Treen? Governor Blanco? Who was this under? Well, I guess we'll have to just guess. Our minds, this is kind of like Common Core math, Brandon. We get to figure it out. Take the last 6 governors or 7 governors and guess who it is. Because they just happen not to put that in. But I guarantee you, if they write an article, and I didn't check all the Baton Rouge papers, I bet if they did anything with Trump and anything with a Stormy Daniels article, I'd be willing to bet you $50 to a nickel that was mentioned. Donald Trump's name was put on that puppy. And they forgot to mention Edwards. Anyway, they did say more recently, Secretary of State Tom Shell also forced to face the lawsuit stemming from allegations of sexual harassment an employee more than a decade. He denies it. He's not seeking re-election, so as far as they're concerned, that's over. But really, the most recent case is Deputy Chief of Staff of Bell Edwards, Johnny Anderson, where we actually paid $85,000. Shedler and them, there's no money that came out with Shedler yet. 5.1. Let me ask you another question. We know in Washington it's millions and millions of dollars for sexual harassment that we got to pay. Why does the taxpayer have to pay for every political mistake these politicians make? You know, they get money for roads, don't spend it on money for roads, and then they come back to us and want more money. It's like it's our fault. Well, y'all didn't hold us responsible for that. You know? Oh, okay, we made a mistake. The unfunded accrued liability. $21 billion in the hole right now. How come we're going to be the ones that have to pick that up? Not the ones that actually spent the money. Just kind of curious. You know? So we got sexual harassment. Sexual harassment. The federal level and the state level. How come you and me have to pick up this debt to society? How come they didn't have to? You know, $5.8 million example, Brandon. If it happened in the governor's office, the governor paid for it. More importantly than that, instead of the governor paying for it, why didn't Johnny Anderson have to pay the $85,000? Don't you think the person who did that, you know, It's amazing. Somebody gets in a car wreck from drinking, they get in trouble. We blame the person. Somebody shoots somebody, we blame the gun. Somebody has a sexual harassment lawsuit, and the person that did it he's not held responsible at all. So they turn to the taxpayers, that's you and me, and say, okay, we're going to take money from y'all. Same thing in the federal government. Congressional, they paid out millions. Matter of fact, they've locked that stuff up so we don't know how many millions they paid. They could have paid hundreds of millions. Who knows? But my question is, if somebody's done that in the government, why should the taxpayers pay for it and not the person that did it? $5.1 million in the past decade. Well, that's not that much money, Griffon. Oh, okay. Then let them keep doing it. They pick up the pace since it's not that much money. Maybe we can afford $20 or $50 million for sexual harassment. But my question is, why is the person, in this case, Deputy Chief of Staff of Bell Edwards, by the way, I said it because they don't say it in the paper, Johnny Anderson, he resigned in November, says he didn't do anything wrong. Well, then let's have a court case, and if he loses, then he should pay for it. Not Brandon. Brandon, what the heck did you and me do? You know, we're paying for everything else. Bad decisions in the legislature, bad decisions on locking up all this money. I just don't. I'm trying to figure out how in the world. I mean, Brandon, if you drive off today and you get in a fender bender, you hit somebody from behind, why the hell should I pay your bill? By the way, they do that in insurance too. Somebody hits you and don't have insurance, see who pays the bill. Maybe that's where we get our insurance policy from. Sexual harassment lawsuits in the federal and state government. Unbelievable. All right, we got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Forbes ranks LSU among the top 50 best value public universities. Wait till I tell you what they ranked it on, which I agree with. But I think we ought to leave it like that, but that's not what they're trying to do. Anyway, we take a break. Be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has that hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. And I will say this, there's a lot of stories going on with Barbara Bush, who passed away. The president probably was in worse shape than she is or was. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we hear about former First Lady Barbara Bush. Yeah, I didn't realize, Brandon, you know, they lost a child at 3 years. That was 3 years old.
No, I'd heard
they
that. They
said that her hair, she always looked older than him, but that her hair turned gray after she lost that child. Started turning gray.
Yeah,
and she just said, she just said, I'm not dying it, and she never died it. So she always looked older than him. You know, at least I'm not talking about the last few years, but I'm talking about in the deal. But there's a lot of people remembering the legacy, and you couldn't help probably to like her from a distance. Political. You know, some things I would question, but that's not what you do in this. You know, she was very well liked. She never started anything. You know, just take her, fast forward to Hillary Clinton. I want you to think about that.
Sure.
The difference between her as the first lady than the wicked witch from the South, Hillary.
From the South?
Well, they lived in Arkansas. They lived in Arkansas.
She's
not from the South.
That's New York. I know.
I
think of that as New York.
But they made their name and became president, being the governor, co-governorship in Arkansas.
I don't know if the South wants to claim
that.
Well,
they voted for Bill every time.
Yeah.
So I think our state did too. So anyway, just compare that. Compare her to Michelle. I mean, you know, they were always political, running their mouths out there. I've never been so proud. I've never been proud of my country before this. I mean, gee whiz, just you know, pain in the butt. But you never got that from her at all. And that, you know, the comment I heard today that she said that presidents and political wives should not comment on stuff. You want to know what she said? She said, because we didn't get elected. Our husbands did.
Well, good point.
You see what I'm saying? A real woman, a real lady, and just, you know, Hillary Clinton, and it just broke the mold and shattered it everywhere.
Well, you know, it's interesting. You'd be surprised to know where Hillary Clinton was actually born.
Salem, Massachusetts.
No, that's funny, but Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, yeah. I knew she was. She's home of Barack Obama. I mean, the best politics money can buy. The most corrupt, too. Anyway, just look at the comparison when she left the White House after 4 years and the crap you put up with Hillary since then. And that's the Democrats' best they can do. All right. LSU named one of America's best value college by Forbes. Top 50. Best value public university. So let's see what they base this on. The rankings looked at what truly matters to parents and students, outcomes. Universities should be measured by the way they impact families, student debt. So if you raise salaries up, folks, if you raise tuition up, student debt's going to grow. Starting salaries, graduation rates, and financial aid support. These are the areas important to students when making a college choice. So Forbes began ranking this 3 years ago. Okay. Here's what they based it on. The rankings of 300 schools. Net price. If you keep raising it, that's going to be net debt. Alumni earnings, timely graduation, school quality, and access for low-income students. The list evaluates institutions offering 4-year degrees and does not include private-for-profit schools. So, LSU's sitting where they probably want to be sitting right now. I think, be careful with the student debt. One of these guys, I don't know if it was King Alexander, walked out and looked out there and saw all these different cars at the schools and said, we're not charging enough. In other words, Brandon, people were driving too nice of vehicles. They must not be paying enough in tuition. I don't know if it was King Alexander or who that was, and I just laughed at that. Walked out there and said, we can get more money out of these people. Look at the cars they're driving. Can you imagine basing that statement on what kind of cars people drive? Brandon, you can go buy you a nice Mercedes if it's an old one. Mm-hmm. And get you a good deal. Oh, and that sucker can look as good as a brand new one.
Absolutely.
That don't mean you paid a lot for it.
Uh-huh.
Am I wrong by saying that?
No, not at all.
So if you walk out there and see somebody driving a nice vehicle, maybe it's people that give a flip. They're at school. They do care. By the way, Comey gives Colbert a ratings boost. Did you watch that crap?
Hell no. No.
I mean, I want to know who watched it, but apparently somebody did.
You know that was a Trump hate fest.
No, when ain't it? I mean, when ain't it? When do you pick up the paper or watch TV when it's not a Trump hate fest?
We were listening to the Savannah Guthrie interview over the break when he was on NBC this morning. That one was a little interesting because she kind of kept calling him out for coming off as bitter and angry, and he said, "Oh, I'm not angry. This is a hard process for me to do, and this is terrifying for me to have to go out there and put this book out there. I'm not an author. Whatever, man." He's loving all this attention.
He's loving every bit of it. He may get some attention he really doesn't want in the long run. Anyway, Trump's approval holds at 50%. They had him in the 30s when he first started. His numbers are so much better than Barack and saying Obama. It's not even funny right now. By the way, yesterday, Louisiana doesn't look like it will have legal sports betting. 6-3 Finance Committee rejected the sports betting. And this is the one that we're going to do sports betting everywhere. Anyway, there was a casino or there was a machine that was going to allow you to do sports betting. 6-3 makes it unlikely sports betting would be allowed in Louisiana anytime soon. And if the interview after the vote, Danny Martini, who loves gambling almost as much as Ronnie Johns, the casino man, said he is considering bypassing the Senate Finance Committee decision and moving the bill to the Senate floor for a full vote through a procedural maneuver, though he hasn't made up his mind to do so yet. That'd be devastating. But that's what normally happens with gambling. They get it there, they get it passed. Gaming ain't gambling. That's what normally happens. That would be an unusual move and one that would take broad support in the Senate to make happen, which isn't likely. Senate's finance members who rejected the bill Tuesday said they were worried that the bill expanded gambling. It does expand gambling. I mean, you're worried about it. And that it might cost the cash-strapped state money to implement a system to regulate and collect taxes from sports betting. Senate Bill 266 would have allowed parishes to legalize sport betting in their communities through a referendum on the upcoming November ballot. if the Supreme Court ruled in favor of legal sports betting in all states later this year. There's a big here's what's going to happen, folks. If the Supreme Court hears it and the Supreme Court rules that you can have sports betting anywhere, then they're going to come back and pass this in the state of Louisiana. And the reason they're going to do it, Como, we talked about it earlier, other states will be doing it, and they don't want to miss one penny.
No.
And CB was right when he made the comment that the local governments are the one that are hooked on gambling. They're the ones that are hooked on it.
Louisiana in this instance will stick out like a sore thumb, though, being the only state.
Well, if they pass
sports betting,
trust me, Brandon, what happens with all these gambling bills and any bills, taxes, whatever, they come back. They may not make it the first time or two through.
Yeah.
Then
they
boom, they
worn
get
down.
it.
Yeah.
They get it. Well, they got to buy enough people to vote for it. Not that I'm accusing our legislature of ever doing it.
You would never do that.
No, Brian, I couldn't do it. I couldn't live with myself.
Yeah.
Martini-sponsored legislature of Louisiana gambling would have an opportunity to remain competitive with Mississippi, where the state legislature has already signed off on legal sports betting if the Supreme Court rules that way. The United States Supreme Court has got a case right now in front of it on sports betting. I look for them to rule that you can do it. Because here's all they got to do is say, look, we're not going to get into sports betting or anything like that. The states have to make up their mind. And on things they want the states to control, they let them. Things that they want to control, like killing babies or marriage, they just change the definition of it and don't worry about it. And they just make it where everybody has to go through the process. So that's what you're dealing with right now. Do I think sports betting is coming to Louisiana? Absolutely. There's no fight against any of it anymore. There's just not a fight. And I'll say this. There's more of a fight to create revenue, taxes, revenue, whatever, for state government. There's more of a battle to do that than fight against it. So that's why I think it will one day pass. I just pity if Texas ever starts rolling in gambling. I just wonder how that will affect us. All right, we got to take a quick break, but it's only 22 hours. It's hard to believe tomorrow, Brandon, is already Friday Eve. Wow, what a fast week. Anyway, great to talk to you. We'll do it again tomorrow. God bless.